A winner is selected as a result of interaction among the signals. The DMA is a special control unit provided to allow the transfer of the block of data. The processor will provide the memory address and the bus signals to transfer the data. Hello students, welcome to the next session of Digital Electronics. I am Dr. Soumyashree from Department of Computer Science, Vidyashram First Grade College. Let's start this session. This session is all about knowing another part of or another mode of data transfer in the I/O devices as well as I/O and the CPU, between the I/O and the CPU, that is the direct memory access or DMA data transfer method. Let's know about this DMA in detail. Okay, so to transfer large blocks of data, there will be some data which are larger in size at a high speed. Speed is also important while transferring the data. We use an alternative approach. What is this alternative approach? It is a special control unit. The DMA is a special control unit provided to allow the transfer of the block of data. It allows the transfer of block of data directly between an external device and the main memory. That is what says direct memory access. Okay, so control unit which allows the transfer of large block of data directly between the I/O devices and the memory without continuous intervention by the processor. Without any intervention by the processor, continuously data is transferred between the I/O device and the memory. This approach is called as the direct memory access or DMA data transfer. There will be no intervention by the processor when there is an input-output operation happening between the memory and the I/O devices. Okay, how does it is going to be achieved? What does the DMA will do is, the DMA transfers are performed by a control circuit. There will be a circuit which is the part of the I/O device. It will be contain the control unit which is called as the DMA controller. Okay, DMA controller will control, or it is a control circuit which control the transfer of data between the I/O device and the memory. For each word that is transferred between I/O devices and the memory, processor provides the memory address to which word has to be stored, or memory address from which word has to be transferred to the output device. And all the bus signals that control the data transfer, the processor will provide the memory address and the bus signals to transfer the data. Okay, since processor has to transfer large blocks of data, the DMA controller, what it must do, it must increment the memory address. It has to increment the memory address for successive words. Okay, if there is a memory location specified as 1000, say if words are how many bits it can take is 32 bits it can take. So 32 bits you can have if you take 1 bit, or 8 bits for 1 byte, or 8 bits will make 1 byte. Okay, so it will have 4 bytes. 1004 will be a next memory location. Since processor has to transfer blocks of data, the DMA controller must increment the values or memory address for successive words. Each word, how many memory locations are needed? Next address must be incremented. And key track of the number of transfers. So for each word which takes 2 bytes, say 1000, next you shall take 1002, each byte will take 1001, 1002 like this. The DMA has to increment the memory address for successive words. Okay, each word will take 2 memory location. If the location is of 1 byte, it will take 2 memory locations. So DMA has to increment according to that, where it can keep track of the words that is coming to the memory and the transfer, how much data have been transferred between the memory and the IO devices. The DMA controller can transfer the data without any intervention by the processor. There will be no intervention by the processor, but its operation will be under the control of a programmer that is run by the processor. Even if the processor cannot intervene, but it can control the operation of the DMA. That will be done by the program which is again executed by the processor itself. Okay. To initiate the transfer of block of data or block of words, the processor sends the starting address of the memory location from which the data has to be stored or accessed. The number of words in the block, how many data are there in that memory block, and the direction of the transfer, whether it is from input to the memory or from memory to the output. That will be mentioned by the initial process of data transfer, which is done by the DMA. On receiving this information, so it will be received from the processor, the DMA controller proceeds to perform the requested operation which has to be done, whether to accept the data or to output the data. Okay, when the entire block has been transferred, when there is a transfer task is finished by the DMA controller informs the processor by raising an interrupt signal. Interrupt is nothing but the signal which halts the normal execution of any program. When there is the end of a data transfer, when it terminates data transfer procedure, the processor will be notified by the controller by raising an interrupt signal. While a DMA transfer of the words is taking place, the program that requested the transfer, which has requested the transfer of data, cannot continue. Okay. When there is DMA is executing, the program that requested the transfer of data has to be in idle state, and the processor can be used to execute another program. So DMA can work parallelly with the processor, because when DMA is operating, the normal execution of the program cannot happen. The program which has requested for the data. That means CPU has to do some other task, or it has to execute some other operation while the DMA is transferring the data. After the DMA transfer is completed, the processor can return to the program that requested the data transfer. Will be handled by the processor. Now the program can resume its operation. Here we have the registers that are used in the DMA controller. We have two registers, one for storing the address, one for storing the word count, how many words are there, and the status and control flag register. These are the flag registers. Flag is nothing but which shows the state of the DMA operation. State will be either set or reset. Only two values will be there. So if it is two values, you can store it in a flag register. Okay. So it stores the status and control of the DMA operation. Okay. So DMA controller registers that are accessed by the processor to initiate the transfer operation. These are the 3 registers that are accessed by the processor before the transferring of the data initiates. 2 registers are used for storing the starting address of the memory at which the transfer has to start, and another register for keeping the count of the words in the block. Suppose if you have a block with the 30 bytes, 30-byte memory block is there, and this is the starting address of the block. So the register, first one register will store the starting address of the memory block, and the another register will store the word count. Word count is 1000, 1002 will make a word. If you have 30 bytes, you will have the 15 word count. Word count will be 15, okay, because it takes 2 bytes for a word. 2 bytes make a word. So word count will be specified or stored by another register, whereas the third register contains the status and control flags. Say status is set state or reset state. That will be the status of the DME. And control flags, whether it is running or in idle state, it will be specified by the control flag. Okay. Now let's know about how does the DMA is going to transfer the data. The read-write bit, there will be a flag register which specifies whether data has to be read or to be write. Okay. Read-write bit determines the direction of the transfer, as I said, whether from input device to the memory or from memory to the output device. If it is from input device to memory, it is the write operation. Input device to memory, input device is writing to the memory, whereas from memory to output will be considered as the read operation. We have the read and the write operation. These 2 operations will be specified by 1 bit, read or write bit. It determines the direction of the transfer. When this bit is set to 1 by a program instruction, the controller performs a read operation. When RW bit is set to 1, that means it has to read from an input device. That is, it transfers data from memory to the IO device. Okay. So it is reading from the memory to the output device. That is read, memory to output. When there is 1 by a program instruction, control performs the read operation, that is from the transfer of data from the memory to the output device. When controller has completed transferring block of data and is ready to receive another command, it sets the done flag to 1. There will be another flag bit which makes done or undone process. When normally it will be in 0 state or reset state, when one operation is finished, the done flag bit is set to 1. That means one task has been done. You have to start with the another. When another command comes, the done bit again comes back to the 0 state. Okay. The yes bit 30 is an interrupt enabled flag or IE flag. You say IE or interrupt enabled flag. We have this interrupt enabled flag. This is the 30th bit. Status and control flag registers 30th bit. What does it will specify? The bit 30 is the interrupt enabled flag. When this flag is set to 1, when you set IE flag to 1, it causes the controller to raise an interrupt. It will raise an interrupt or it will generate an interrupt after it has completed transferring a block of data. It generates an interrupt signal which takes the processor to the same program, specifying that DMA transfer has been finished. Okay. The controller sets the IRQ, interrupt request queue, bit to 1 when it has requested an interrupt. When there is a request for interrupt, it will be specified by the interrupt request bit, which is specified as IRQ bit. You can observe that in the diagram, we have the IRQ bit, interrupt enabled flag bit, the done bit, and the read and write bit. This is interrupt request bit. Here we have the DMA controller in a computer system. We have the processor, the main memory, disk or DMA controller, the actual DMA controller, printer, which is an output device, keyboard, which is an input device. We have the disk with two separate disks, either permanent memory or the volatile memory, and a network interface to transfer the data between two computers. The DMA controller will have a network interface even. Okay, now let's know about the disk controller. What does the disk controller in this DMA will do? Okay, the disk controller, which controls two disks, also has the DMA capability, that is transferring the data, and provides two DMA channels for each of the disk. Each disk will be provided with one DMA channel. Okay, it can perform two independent DMA operation. It can perform two independent operations as if each disk had its own DMA controller. So the disk controller can perform two independent DMA operations as if each disk has its own DMA controller. It has two independent controllers which can transfer the data between two disks independently and can communicate with the I/O devices. The register needed to store the memory address, the word count, and the flag are duplicated. They will be having another copy of the same registers so that one set can be used with one disk or one device. Each copy will be used with one disk. Requests by DMA devices for using the bus, there will be so many bus that are there. So how do you request is, DMA controller will request for using the bus are always given highest priority than the processor request. Priority will be high for the DMA request than the processor one. Okay. Alternatively, the DMA controller may be given exclusive access to the main memory. Since it has higher priority, it can be given exclusive access to the main memory to transfer a block of data without any interruption. If the data transfer is a critical data, then the DMA will be given highest priority to transfer a block of data without a single interruption by the other components or the processor. This is known as the block or burst mode. Okay, there will be no interruption in block or burst mode. A conflict may arise. There may be a conflict that may arise if the processor and a DMA controller. If a processor and DMA controller or two DMA controllers try to use the bus, there will be, I know, as I said, the CPU, the disk controller act as DMA. Both can use same bus at the same time. At the time, there will be a conflict between two DMA controllers to access the main memory. How does this will be tackled? To resolve these conflicts, an arbitration procedure. We'll follow an arbitration procedure which is implemented on the bus to coordinate the activities which is used by an arbitration procedure which resolves the conflicts between the two DMA or disk controllers. How does they are going to do that? Let's look at this. We have the bus arbitration which resolves the conflict between two disk controllers or DMA controllers. Okay, so we have the device that is allowed to initiate the data transfer on the bus. So this is the arbitration procedure which allows the initiation of data transfer on the bus at any given time is called as the bus master, who controls the data transfer over a bus and who decides which DMA controller or DMA operation must access the corresponding bus. Okay, when the current master takes the control of the bus, another device can acquire this status, or when one bus master relieves the control over the bus, the another device or another arbitration procedure can take on that bus for data transfer. Here we have the representation. There is a bus arbiter which controls different devices. There is a fixed priority bus arbitration method which gives the priority based on the priority queue. So that will be used for setting the priority. Okay, so bus arbitration is the process by which the next device to become the bus master, which is the one which controls the bus, is selected and bus mastership is transferred to it. Okay, so arbitration is the process of transferring the control of a bus from one bus master to another bus master. Okay, the selection of the bus master, how it is going to happen? The selection of the bus master must take into account the needs of various devices. What is the necessity of various devices? By establishing a priority system, there will be given a priority for gaining the access to the bus based on the priority of the operations or the programs. The bus will be allocated to each of the procedure. Okay, there are two approaches for bus arbitration. One is the centralized one, another is the distributed one. In a centralized arbitration that we use, a single bus arbiter performs the required arbitration. There will be single bus master which performs all the procedure of handing the bus to the or allowing the procedures to go, access the bus. Okay, whereas in distributed arbitration, all devices participate in the selection of the next bus master. So centralized will be having only one bus master, whereas in distributed arbitration, all devices participate in the selection of the next bus master. So there will be the distributed one. Let's know about the centralized arbitration. The bus arbiter may be the processor or a separate unit. It may be the same processor or separate unit connected to that same bus. Okay, the processor is normally the bus master. Processor will be the bus master unless it grants bus mastership to one of the DMA controllers. One thing is, processor is the one which acts as a bus master in a centralized one. Okay, sometimes the bus mastership will be given to the DMA controller in case of processor gets the highest priority job in the system. So the bus mastership will be transferred to one of the DMA controller. Okay, where a DMA controller indicates that it needs to become the bus master by activating bus request line BR. The bus request line, it is called as the BR, which will be generally low when there is DMA controller has to gain the bus mastership. It has to make the bus request line enabled, or it will be made to high. When bus request is activated, the processor activates the bus grant signal. Okay, how do you grant the signal? There will be bus granting signal or BGI indicating to the DMA controllers that they may use the bus when it becomes free. Whenever there is a bus request is activated, the processor activates the bus grant signal BGI, which indicates to the DMA controller that they may use the bus when it becomes free. Okay, this signal is connected to all the DMA controllers using a daisy chain management. Okay, the current bus master or maybe the processor indicates to all device that it is using the bus by activating a line called bus busy. So there will be the signal lines or the control lines which control all these operations. So we have the bus request signal. Now we have the bus busy signal. That means others cannot access the bus. So bus will be locked for a single DMA controller, and it indicates and propagates a signal or communicates a signal saying that bus is busy, you can't use this bus. How do the other devices know that the bus is busy? Is through the bus busy signal. It will be sent by the current bus master, which will be notified to all the connected components. The bus busy signal is used to prevent the other device from using the bus at the same time or raising the signal, bus request signal at the same time. Okay, let's know about the distributed arbitration, how it is going to do. The distributed arbitration means that all devices waiting to use the same bus have equal responsibility. Those who are waiting for the bus allocation have equal responsibility in carrying out the arbitration process without using a central arbiter. There is no central arbiter that is present. The distribution arbitration will have distributed responsibility between the requested devices. Each device on the bus assigned a 4-bit identification number. There will be an identification number allocated to a connected device which has requested for the bus. When one or more devices request for the bus, they assert the start arbitration signal. That is selecting one of the bus master. So start arbitration signal and place their 4-bit identification number on 4-line ARB0 to ARB3. So their number will be placed in the queue. A winner is selected as a result of interaction among the signals. There will be interaction among the signals sent by the devices transmitted over those lines by all contenders. Okay, we use all the lines. The net outcome is that the code on the 4 lines represent the request that has the highest ID number. That means based on the priority, ID number will be given. The device which has the highest ID number will be made as the bus master, and he will be allowed, or the particular device will be allowed to transfer the data over that bus. When that bus master completes the task of transferring the data, once again same procedure is repeated and another component which has highest ID number will be selected and is made as the bus master, which controls the data transfer over that bus. And it will not be allowing other devices to access that bus until it releases the bus after data transfer. This is about the data transfer using the direct memory access. Thank you.